There are 4 states of being, and most non-athletes spend their entire lives trapped cycling through 3, never knowing that a 4th, much easier state of being exists for them. And when you understand these 4 states, everything about why fitness and nutrition has been so hard suddenly makes sense. This is also how you turn off sophisticated coping mechanisms that you invented, like, I don't have time for that, or I can't do it for whatever reason. For myself personally, I started bouncing between these first 3 states in my childhood, and I didn't learn about the 4th state until I was 38. But when I finally understood it and how to stay there, I had a ton more energy. My confidence with fitness and nutrition grew for the first time in my life. I was able not just to exercise without getting injured, but also actually enjoy that exercise. My relationship to food also shifted completely, and because of all of that, I lost weight and completely reversed multiple health issues that had been getting worse for years. So by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly which state you're stuck in right now, why you've been stuck cycling through the others, and what it actually takes to make the shift and stay in the 4th state where you're consistently showing up for the things that naturally optimize your health without spending money on a bunch of subscriptions and prescriptions for years and years. I invite you to actually draw this out with me because writing it down is going to help you process and make connections that you might not have noticed before. It's probably going to remind you of some experiences that you had, maybe some things that you tried in the past, and that's a good thing because you're going to be able to start piecing together all of this and making sense of what's been happening to you. Each state is shaped by 2 key assumptions. The first assumption is whether fitness and nutrition feels like high ease or high difficulty. And the second assumption is whether fitness and nutrition bring you high satisfaction or high disappointment. Now, the first state is shaped by high satisfaction and high difficulty. The second state is shaped by high difficulty and high disappointment. The third state is shaped by high ease and high disappointment. And the 4th state is shaped by high ease and high satisfaction together. Now, the first state is what we call burnout. So this is where someone else sets the expectations for you. And that person could be a coach or a family member, a trainer, maybe even your peers or a sports team that you were part of or tried to be part of. And because of those external expectations, you're grinding and hustling, and everything could be really great until suddenly it's not. Now, normally here, crashes happen because you recklessly ignore the warning signs. And in this state, willpower and discipline are mandatory because the difficulty level is simply so high. So what happens to your energy in this state? Well, it's pretty normal to have huge fluctuations, almost like you're riding a roller coaster. The second state is what we call failure. And this usually follows after a burnout because it's the consequence of attempting something that's so difficult and then discovering that you're not yet actually at that level. So whatever you attempted with fitness or nutrition, you just can't do it. This is an extremely painful and tender place to be because when you're here, you're comparing yourself to other people, feeling like you're not good enough, not strong enough, not fast enough, not disciplined enough. And whatever it was that you tried to attempt here, the cost of achieving it was simply too high. So that can look like too much pain or too much sacrifice. And because you feel like you're in that space where you just can't do it, often what will happen next is that you'll say that you're going to take a break, But then that break actually morphs into stopping, sometimes completely, for years. And then this is where you can say things like, I'm not a fitness person, or every day is a cheat day, or exercising and eating right just isn't for me. And what does it look like when your energy is in that state? Well, it's normal not to have any energy for fitness or nutrition. It's almost like you're offline, like the lights are just out. And I say that without judgment because that happens because you need to protect yourself. It's actually a self-preservation mechanism. But what happens for a lot of people is that eventually, after some years go by, you remember that exercise and eating right really are important, and you're just supposed to do those things, and you know that it would fix and prevent all kinds of problems if you could just get yourself to show up for it. So then you probably enter the third state. And this is what we call following. Because eventually, if enough time passes, sometimes, if you're lucky, you can kind of forget how bad your previous experiences with burnout and failure were. You might be able to rally some scraps of motivation to try again. And let's be fair, after going through burnout and failure, both of which are highly difficult and very demanding, it's only natural that you want something easy because you're human after all. So this is when you start looking for easy hacks, like supplements or certain prescriptions and subscriptions that promise that they can do the work for you. And essentially what's happening here is that you've lost trust in yourself. So now you're seeking leadership. So it's kind of like you're saying, just tell me what to do. So this can look like hiring someone to handle all of your food choices or signing up for a series of fitness classes, maybe even getting a personal trainer to follow you around and tell you exactly what to do. And again, it's only logical because the things that you tried before were just so difficult. They didn't work consistently. And you already know what it feels like to be in states of burnout and failure, and you are right for wanting something easier. But the risk of staying in that follower state is that the potential for disappointment is very high because you have to try a lot of supplements and classes and trainers and just all of the things, all of the equipment, all of the trends. And in the process, you end up spending a lot of money just trying stuff out to see how it goes. And none of it really sticks. So it keeps going back to that disappointment. And even if you hit on a magic combination of stuff, if you stop paying, your results stop because the expertise is outside of you. It's not in your own body or your mind. It's in other people. Now, of course, you could do it the free way, scrolling social media and YouTube, saving videos with reels and tips and tricks, but you still need to actually get up and implement all of that stuff, right? Not to mention, how do you even know which pieces are missing because you've just cobbled something together? So in this state, your energy is weak and dim. Because you're reliant on others and you're not really satisfied with the results that you're getting. There's no agency or sovereignty or independence in that state. So these are the three states of being that non-athletes get trapped in. And it's very common for them to spend decades in these places because they don't know what the alternative is, let alone how to make the leap with the transformation. So when Craig and I tell people about the fourth state of being, it's common for them to kind of laugh about it. Like they can't really even believe that it could be real. It's a little bit like trying to describe a color that they've never seen before. So before I share the fourth state of being with you, I want to pause and clarify that the main reason that these three states feel so bad is because your body and your skill level at that time was repeatedly not taken into consideration. Your confidence and your abilities and your skills with physical activity and food were not developed in the right way. You did not have considerate guidance that actually took you into consideration, into account as things were going on. You were expected to simply show up and grind or hustle or find a way to deal with the pain and the sacrifice and just keep putting up with whatever was asked of you by whoever asked it, no matter the cost for your body or your spirit. Now, it's painful to live in these three states because you're constantly dealing with labels and criticism and judgment about yourself and about other people. Not to mention how small your world can get because your body just isn't safe out there. You can't trust it. But the bigger problem is that even if you shrink your world, your health is still jeopardized just by staying in these three states. And I know because I was there. What I was personally facing is that it was killing me to stay in those three states. Literally, they had me on track to an early grave with lots of trips to the doctor along the way. So when I discovered the fourth state, I was thrilled, like genuinely thrilled, because like I said before, this is the only state that has high ease and high satisfaction. It is the best of both worlds. And if that sounds too good to be true, I want to assure you that the fourth state is as real as the other three states. This state is what we call creating. And the biggest difference here is that you are taking aligned, considerate action with food and physical activity. And you might not ever have done that before. So let me just paint a picture of what that looks like. Basically, it means that you take how you feel each day into consideration, like your current skill level and how much sleep you got, how your body feels today, and if there's any kind of physical accommodation or adjustment that you might need in this moment to get through with that physical activity or the food. So you don't just grind and hustle and force yourself or recklessly ignore warning signs. You actually consider yourself and any warning signs that might be coming up that you need to throttle it back a little bit. When you're here, it also requires that you turn off the urge to prove yourself or compare yourself to other people. Because when you're in this state, there is no comparison. There's no judgment. There's no labeling as not good enough or weak or bad or whatever. But being here also requires you to practice certain skills with physical activity, self-talk, and food so that you can make progress at your own pace, whatever that is. But you also need to understand why you're doing certain physical activities or making certain choices with food, and you need to understand the right way to do them. Because the fourth state is not the follower state. There's leadership and self-trust here in the creator state. If you don't understand what you're doing, or if you don't understand how to do it, you can't stay there. But as long as you do understand, as long as you do keep taking considerate, aligned action with food, physical activity, and self-talk, you can stay in that fourth state indefinitely. It's not an exaggeration to say that you could live the rest of your life there and that you don't actually have to ever go back to any of the other three states. As you stay here, this is what opens you up to steady energy. And there's one last thing that I actually want to add to the diagram before we move forward. It's going to be an arrow that crosses from the failure to the creator state. So you can think of this as like a third axis here. So the thing is that the deeper you are in failure, the further you get into a state of survival and lack. But the higher that you go into the creator state and the steadier your energy gets over there, the more you thrive because you're actually in the state of abundance here. So that's why I call the fourth state the escape route, because it's the only state that feels good on all levels. Physically, you feel good because you're energized. You're not getting injured when you move your body, which is awesome. You're also satisfied when you eat. You're not dealing with crazy hunger or mood swings. You feel proud when you look in the mirror. You love how your clothes fit. Your body feels light and agile and strong on a regular basis, and you've got the energy to do the things that actually matter to you. And emotionally, you also feel great because you're trusting yourself deeply. You're not comparing yourself to the people around you anymore. You get grounded in yourself. Transforming how you fuel and take care of your body is what opens you up to possibilities and opportunities that we can't really even begin to imagine yet. Now, you're going to notice that some wishes and some desires bubble up in you about things that you want to do next, like adventures that you want to go on or opportunities that you want to take advantage of in the next year or two. But even those premonitions are just a fraction of what's actually available to you. Because when you can stay in that fourth state, creating that energy, you redefine what is possible. I am really excited to see what you're going to do when you're in that space. And I know that you're going to do it with new levels of confidence in the way that you move through the world, in the way that you interact with people, in the way that people see you, because you're showing up with that high ease and high satisfaction. Because that kind of energy is incredibly magnetic. It gets people to lean in and ask, like, how do I get that? That's where I want you to be. So if you're watching this and you're recognizing that you've been stuck in burnout, failure, or follower mode, and you are ready to make the transformation into being a creator, the next step is to get in Zoom with me so that we can discuss where you're at and where you want to be. Together, we're going to take a look at which state you've been in recently, what's keeping you stuck there, and then the specific skills with physical activity, food, and self-talk that you need in order to make that shift. So ultimately, my intention for our Zoom session is to give you a plan, an actionable plan that takes you into consideration so that you can escape into the fourth state and stay there. So that Zoom session is called a body confidence planning session, and you're gonna find the link to register in the description below this video. I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for watching.